Good morning, good morning. How are you guys? Nice to have you this morning with me, February 17, 2026. And markets are open now after yesterday's holiday. It was Family Day for us in Canada, President's Day in the States. So markets were closed. So it was a long weekend. Saturday, Sunday, markets not doing anything. And today we have some big movement. And we have a lot of headlines. So I want to go through all those things with you guys and just break apart what the headlines are saying and what's actually taking place on the charts. There's a lot of sell-offs taking place right now. A lot of sell-offs. So a lot of profit taking. Big banks got into positions, rode price to the upside, and now the profit taking. And we're seeing that put a lot of pressure on the markets to the downside. So stay tuned. We're going to take a look at all those charts that are making the headlines this morning and see what is going on. Yeah, I mean, we got the tech industry. And what have I been saying about Nasdaq, right? Nasdaq rallied up right into that major area of supply, and then we saw the sell-off. So we're not surprised by that. And then we looked at some of the other tech industries. We're going to look at some of those tickers today, and I'm going to show you what's happening because I don't think this is over. I think there's going to be a bigger drop coming. But there are some good setups that I see slowly making its way. And, we had a potential one on the S&P 500 index, but it didn't pull a trigger. It came into some demand. We were waiting for some supply to be removed. It never happened. But we have some new potential trades. I shared with you a breakdown of Euro just recently, gave you a video on the Telegram channel. And, I want to thank you for all your support, helping me to grow my channel and helping me to grow my influence on social media. I think the work that we're doing here is, if I may say, revolutionary. What we're doing with the trading analysis and the different perspective that we have, the advanced supply and demand techniques that we're using to uncover what's happening. And I'm sharing all this stuff, to a certain extent with you guys here on the free channel, just to educate you guys and show you what is possible with some advanced analysis. Okay, so we're going to get down into it and we're going to take a look at the headlines. I see here tech leads stocks lower with AI fears in focus. So I'm seeing a lot of this AI stuff. AI hitting software, AI this, how's AI going to impact? Okay, profits are being taken and that's why price is dropping, okay? And so the media is telling you that there's a lot of fears and that's why things are dropping. This is not what I'm seeing on the charts. And the reason being is because a lot of these charts that we were watching, we had placed upside targets on these months ago, months and months ago, all right? Price came into these targets and now we're seeing the sell-off. So if this was because of AI fears, nobody was talking about AI fears months ago when we selected these targets. So these things were based on institutional price action and the price structure that the institutions were creating on the higher time frames. So the headlines can say what they want, but we'll examine the charts and see what's going on. Walmart is one of those charts that is in the news. I like Walmart. I think it's a great stock to buy. We had long signals down, down, down at the lows, which I gave to members, up and around $40. Okay, we made as high as $130, which was amazing. We had multiple long signals from down the lows, which I gave to members in the Arujo report. So we see a lot of buying that's taking place here. And on the monthly time frame, here's the latest significant buying zone that I would be paying attention to. Okay, I'll be watching this area. And if you look at the higher time frame, let's just take a look at the higher time frame right now. We draw out the significant imbalances that we see here, right? Here's a basing candle, significant imbalance. And then we have another one here, but this is like really monstrous. This is something I would watch for, but I wouldn't be putting too much emphasis on this area here. I'd like to see what is going to happen. It's really it's really up there. price is really up there. It's overreached, well beyond what I would expect price to go to. Usually when price goes this high, we'll usually see some kind of a pullback. And the fact that we're seeing pullbacks across the board right now leads me to suspect that we're probably due for some kind of a pullback here, even on Walmart. Now, a lot of money is going into these type of businesses right now because people are in panic mode. These headlines are putting people into panic mode. And I'd be watchful of that because, we have earnings coming out, first of all, right here. This is February 19th, okay? Walmart has pushed up incredibly high. We have demand, like I just pointed out to you here, okay? But let me show you something. Here's demand. Here's one major momentum candle, and here's a second major momentum candle that price created as it was moving to the upside, okay? So what does that tell me? That tells me that there's a very good chance we're going to see profit taking up here, okay? And I'd be very careful because with the earnings coming out, they may come out with really solid earnings, and they may use that to offload their shares. Okay, so we got to be very careful with that. 1 second, my throat's weird this morning. All right. So be very careful with Walmart, guys, because I'm seeing potential for a big drop, and people might be getting really excited thinking, oh, this is the type of stock we want to be buying right now because of all these fears in the market. Yeah, well, they're kind of making you think that way, and that's probably for a reason, okay? A lot of people are going to likely buy at the highs, okay, because of good earnings, thinking that this is going to continue to shoot up, and it might not work so well. In fact, let's just, out of curiosity, let's look at let's go to investing.com and take a look at Walmart. Okay, and see what they say here. I like to see sometimes what they have in terms of their experts and what their experts are saying. All right. Moving averages. Okay, summary sell. Strong sell. Okay, that's in line with what I'm saying here, so that's pretty good. Members sentiment, let's say bearish, and members are bullish. Oh, wait a minute, look at that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Walmart scorecard, company's health. Okay, fair value. Okay, technical analysis, strong buy. Analyst sentiment, strong buy. Price target 129. 129 price target. Well, we are at 131, so that's a little bit old. Member sentiments bullish. See what I'm saying? You see what retail traders are thinking? They're coming on the website. They're voting bullish because of what they're seeing, exactly what I just explained. Technical, but I don't get this here. Technical indicators are saying strong sell based on the hourly chart. 5 hours strong buy, daily strong buy, weekly strong buy, monthly strong buy. No. No, 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 no. See, that's the problem. That's why you can't just rely on websites and what people are saying, because you wouldn't want to be a strong buyer up here. Okay, I can tell you that right now. Okay, you could wait for price to drop into demand zones and wait for confirmation that there's buying there and then get into a long trade, but I wouldn't be buying now. There's no way. No way. This is way, what's the word I'm looking for? When price goes too far. That's the one word it always slips my mind. Price is over something, not overreached, over something. You guys tell me what the word is. You guys know the word. I'll wait for you to tell me the word. So yeah, it's you got to be careful. Okay, that's why I always say when you do your analysis, you got to trust your own analysis. You got to trust, overextended, thank you. You got to trust your own analysis, okay? You have to equip yourself with the concepts and principles that are based in reality, real market concepts and principles, right? Not this support and resistance stuff, which to me, doesn't work, you know, plain and simple. And the reason why is because it's not grounded in the reality of the markets, okay? I'll just say it how it is. So you have to understand the real dynamics of what's taking place. Understand that the banks control the markets. Okay, the big players are the ones that control the markets, them and their clients. And so you have to be able to read their price action and understand how they select targets and so forth. And read between the lines. You start to pick up a really good skill, which is reading between the lines of the headlines. All right, so that's Walmart. Let's get back into what we were doing here. Okay. Um, Warner Brothers, I was looking at Warner Brothers, WBD, I think. Yeah, I don't see much going on here. I would have been interested in buying this one here. Okay. I had my alerts ready to go off here if price was to drop in here. And you see, this was my target here. It would have been a really good trade with that momentum, but it just never pulled back, and that's fine. There was a lot of headlines that were getting a lot of people buying in and chasing after price. And if you were chasing after price, yeah, it would have worked out for you there if you would have known where to put your stop loss. So that didn't work out, and that's fine. So that's pretty much done for me now, because we're coming into this major supply area, and this is an area where I would suspect profit taking is likely going to start taking place. Trump's New World Order, interesting choice of words, is pushing Sweden toward the euro. Okay, so how is that affecting the euro? Is the headline affecting the euro? I don't know. But I do see that we're dropping in price, okay? And this is something that we've been talking about. And this is something that, if you've been watching the CFTC analysis videos that I've been posting on my YouTube channel, you know that we've been taking a look at the data, and the banks have reached an all-time maximum size on long positions, which tells us that they are very likely going to start taking profits, and that's going to fuel a move to the downside. Okay? And I also pointed out that this was the latest area of significant selling that the banks came in with right here. Okay, an important selling zone. Price rallied up into it. It's been basing sideways. I've been waiting for the momentum candle to the downside, and it looks like we're getting that right now. And so the analysis that I posted in the Telegram channel with respect to how we would trade this according to institutional buying and selling is based on the 4-hour time frame. We have a demand zone that was used to cause price to rally up to this institutional selling area. Now we see that they are indeed selling. We see the pressure to the downside. Now I'm going to be watching to see if indeed this zone gets broken through. And if so, we will have, oops, wrong button. If so, we will have institutional supply here, okay? This will be an area of major interest for me. Why? Because the banks are selling. They're taking profit on their positions. They rallied up into a supply area that they created. Now they're dropping, and we're confirming that they're dropping price from the selling area. So we're going to be watching the 4-hour time frame to see if indeed this area gets taken out, validate new supply, wait for a rally into that supply, and then I'll be trading a confirmation trade short to ride this one to the downside. I think there's a very good chance we're going to see a push down towards these lows here, 116, maybe even further, okay? So I will be watching that, and members will be watching that with me. Okay, so software stock bulls are still making a potentially fatal assumption. Okay, Google. Remember Google. Let's go back to it. Here we go. Google's weak. Who told you it was going to be weak? Who told you it was going to be weak, and who told you the reason why it was going to be weak? You remember? Good morning, Terry. You remember why I told you it was going to be weak? Remember, I told you back in October 16, 2025, the members of the school and I, we were doing analysis on this stock, and we were applying our upside target concepts to the chart, and we located this area as the area where the banks were going to be highly likely taking profits on their long positions. All right, so do you see what's going on here? Okay, this was back on October 16. I put the date when we placed that target there. I put the date there. So the last area of institutional buying was here. And so they came in, they used that buying to rally up into the target, and now they're profit taking. Okay, you see this area? Look, see that? They're going to break through this area. Very, very likely, very, very high odds they're going to break through this area. And when they do that, they're going to be coming in with some selling up here. That's what's causing this drop, is the massive selling that originates from up here. So there's a good chance they break, retrace up to that supply, and then continue price to the downside. This is just the normal dynamics of what we teach here at the school, okay, of how price moves on the charts. Now, they're going to be coming into some institutional demand shortly at 285. So when price does get to this area, don't be shocked if we see a bounce up in price, because there is a buying zone here. Do we expect this buying zone to hold over time? Unlikely, okay? Could they hold price here and start shifting momentum to the upside and start doing something different than what they've already put into to play right now? It's possible. Is it likely? Not really, okay? But it's possible. We will be watching the chart to see if they decide to do that, but it's unlikely, okay? It's unlikely. If you look at the 6-month chart, we had a massive ride up. Here's demand at 190, massive ride to the upside. I think price is overextended, okay? Overextended. And it's based on the fact that institutional demand came in at 190 and rallied price up to well over 320, okay? So overextended, due for a pullback. We restart upside target, and this is exactly where we suspected the profit taking was going to take place from. It's quite amazing how we selected that target, and now we're seeing how price is dropping from there quite dramatically. Okay, so watch for that. Watch for a continued move to the downside on Google. General Mills, GIS. Let's take a look at this one. So we see a drop in price. Yeah, this one's been weak for several months. Institutional selling began here on the multi-time frame back in July 2023. They rallied it up into supply and again, and it's been a nonstop sell ever since. Demand has not been contacted yet, so this could drop even further. I would not be touching this one. The chart doesn't look good for a directional play. Bank of America investor angst over CAPEX race at record high. Okay, so let's go to MSFT. All right, sell off. Okay, remember I told you that this was going to drop when price was up in the 480s? I said there's nothing to stop. If you look at the monthly time frame, there's nothing to stop price, okay, from dropping. Remember, I told you there's nothing here. There's no demand zones here, so there's nothing to stop price from dropping. We have institutional demand here. We have this big rally up here. I mean, this is where we're reacting to right now. Could there be a buildup of something here? Sure. Would I be a buyer here? No. Okay? Just because there could be a buildup here doesn't mean I'd want to touch this. Not at this point. We'd need new significant buying to come into the charts. Supply areas to be removed, and then I'd be interested. So right now I'm not touching it. Okay, Meta, it looks like major sell-off for that one. Same thing with Meta. Remember, it was rallying up, and I told you just because it's good earnings, don't be a buyer, because we're rallying into massive supply. Remember on the weekly time frame? Okay, major supply we rallied into. Okay, and what did they do? They used positive earnings to offload their shares. Okay, it's the same thing over and over and over again. If you've been following us and watching our live sessions, you know that it's constantly the same routine. All right. So now it's the sell-off, and there's no significant demand until much further down at 500. So this thing can really drop. We're at 630 now. This thing can really, really drop. All right, so I wouldn't be touching this one. Massimo surges on $9.9 billion deal with Danaher. Oops, let's see. DHR. Okay. DHR. Yeah, it looks weak. It looks like it's, according to supply and demand dynamics, it could drop down to about, over time. If this 180 breaks, it could drop down to 125. I wouldn't touch it, personally. Apple, let's look at Apple. So Apple, we contacted this area on the monthly time frame, if you remember correctly. Contacted. It's not in play yet because we haven't produced a bullish momentum candle out of here. So we're watching to see what kind of serious reaction we get to the upside off of this monthly area. We could get a long signal, but right now it's not. It's not giving us a long signal. Okay. Let's skip through. Let's go down to Bitcoin declines as geopolitical tensions adds to risk off mood. Is that the reason why Bitcoin declined, or is it because we have a daily supply zone in play? Okay, so you see, when you track the institutional buying and selling on the charts, you read the headlines and you realize most of the times they don't match. 1 second. So you'll read the headlines. We had a bearish bias short term because daily supply was in play. So, I posted that over the weekend. I said, heading into the week, I believe short term we're going to have bearish price action. And then you read the headline, Bitcoin declines as geopolitical tensions add to risk off mood. No, that's their explanation to explain to you why Bitcoin is dropping right now, but that's not the reason why, okay? We are reacting from supply, okay? And off that supply, we had a 1 hour imbalance here that price rallied up to. We had another one here. Okay, so this was the emotional rally to capture selling from up here. But as you could see, they continued to hold it throughout here. And now we have a new selling area here. Okay, excuse me. So we could have another sell signal here. If price gets up here and confirms the sell, we could have a move to the downside from here. So I'm going to be watching that. All right. Just a little hint. Just a little hint for you. By the way, did you guys give me some support here on the channel? Let me see. Not bad on Twitter. If you guys can pump up those tweets a little bit more, I'll give you the exact sell signal when we get it on Bitcoin. Okay. Right now we're at 8, which is not that great. You guys can do a lot better than that. All right. Okay, so Bitcoin, yeah, that's what's going on with Bitcoin. Daily supply is in play here. Okay, well, not in play. It's been contacted. We haven't confirmed that it's in play yet. In 8 hours and 19 minutes, we'll know whether this candle closes bearish or not. If the candle closes bearish, then it'll be in play, and we can expect a little bit more downside. I only say a little bit more because at the same time, we've reached a weekly demand area and a monthly demand area. So it could be downside pressure, but I only expect it to be short term. That's why I would only trade this short term to the downside on a very low time frame, and I wouldn't be expecting that big of a move. Okay. Okay. How's the session going so far? Am I giving you guys a lot of information, helpful stuff? If you guys like the session, hit the like button. Leave your comments down below. I always read your comments below. I love to hear your stories. I love to hear your interpretation or your experience as you're watching this analysis. And it always makes my day to know how we are affecting you guys. Okay. All right. So let's move near the wrap up of this. Netflix. Let's look at Netflix. This is an interesting one because I saw some major selling happening here on Netflix. Yeah, from the highs, massive move to the upside, and it looks like we have more downside move coming. We are reacting to a weekly demand zone. This is why price is pausing, so we could get short-term move to the upside, but we don't have any significant demand until the monthly demand zone at $72. Yeah, $72. But I suspect we could get the price to drop down in towards this area where the 60s, high 60s, mid 60s is, okay? But this could be a good long trade one day, not now. I wouldn't be touching it now. Um, but if they come into this area and start buying, and we see institutional demand zones being created off those areas, then we could potentially have a long signal. Okay, we'd have to wait for that. Nasdaq Futures. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so selling continues. No surprise there. Let's look here at the 1 hour. Yeah, so we were reacting from a demand area here. And I was watching the 15-minute chart to see if it was going to remove this imbalance here on the 15-minute. If it did and produce demand, I was going to look for a long entry, but that did not get produced. On another time frame, 1 hour, we also have this major imbalance up here. I was thinking if price was to get up there, I'd look for a potential short up there, but no such luck. Instead, removing demand zones and more pressure to the downside after this significant area on the daily time frame was contacted. Okay, so not really surprised with the continued move to the downside. There could have been a short-term rally up before another push to the downside, but we didn't get that. Okay, so NASDAQ weak, continues to be weak. Let's look at ET. What is ET? I don't think I've ever, oh yeah, I've even mapped out a supply area here on ET. Look at that. We contacted supply at $20, dropped to about $14. Energy transfer, I don't really like the chart. Doesn't look really good to me, so I wouldn't be touching it. MDT, big drop this morning. We contacted a major area of buying. It never retraced to demand. Let me see what else could be produced here. There's not supply until much higher up on the chart, so it wouldn't be worth it for me personally to trade that one. S&P, okay, let's go to the S&P. Yeah, okay, so price was contacting this demand area on the 1 hour time frame, was watching the 15-minute chart. Again, we had this really nice imbalance. My signal was to wait for this to be removed to produce demand, and I would consider going into a long position there. Okay, but we never got the signal. Okay, demand was contacted, but we never got the long signal, so there was no trade. And we had two areas where I would have considered shorting if it was going to get up there, but right as of now, we're not getting up there. We still have that daily demand zone in play, but it has been tested already 2 times. So like I was mentioning, if you saw my analysis on the S&P 500, very good chance we have a pullback to the $6,400 area. And there's a complete sequence of events that's playing out right now that leads us to suspect this drop to 6,400 is high odds. Okay, so be watchful of that. Looks like more downside is coming. And we already covered Netflix. Wonderful. Good. Beautiful. Thank you. Nice comments. EU and GU dropping rapidly. Trust you are doing great. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Bitcoin dropping too. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay, my friends. I guess I will leave you with that. I appreciate you guys joining me as you do every single morning. Oh, that's not what I want. That's not what I wanted. Huh. Huh, huh, huh. I have to close that when it opens up. Anyways, thanks again for joining. I appreciate it as always. And come and join us in the Telegram channel, and I'll be posting more analysis for you guys. Okay, would love to have you there. All right, my friends, enjoy the rest of your day, and see you in the Telegram channel. And so long. Have a good one.